Welcome back to episode 162 of the Guardian Project podcast. I'm your host, Andy, and honestly, I just want to know what citizen owns the Citizen's Crowbar, because it belongs to a specific citizen. That's certainly not a Citizens of Townsville situation. It's owned by someone, right? That's the way that possessives work. So I want to know whose crowbar it is and what they're going to do with it.
It kind of reminds me, and you might not get this reference, Andy, because it's pro wrestling, but it kind of reminds me of like the People's Elbow or something like that.
I don't understand that reference, but I'm not against wrestling, but I'm not pro wrestling.
Oh, that was a good one. And I'm your other host, Mike, and I recently started taking some classes with Professor Nixless. But I've been struggling. No matter what I do, the best grade I can get is a D, man.
Please listen carefully.
And this is the podcast about Commander,
our favorite Magic the Gathering format.
We have a lot of stuff that we learned about some upcoming sets, specifically Dominaria United, which is coming to us in what doesn't feel like that it's not that long from now.
No, it's not.
We're going to be getting this set. But I did watch the stream on Twitch last week, and we learned that there are, in fact, going to be cards that are going to be inserted into some packs. So like we mentioned on the stream last week, there was priceless treasures that came out with the first print run of Zendikar. With this set, we are going to have the Dominaria United Lost Legends. So you can check out this whole article in the show notes below, but they did announce that they found a warehouse that had just a bunch of pallets of unopened cases of the set Legends that came out in 1994. And they decided to open a bunch of them and insert a ton of cards into packs. When I say a ton, it's not really a ton. They're inserting a card into about 3% of collector boosters. So if you are purchasing Dominaria United collector boosters, you might be able to get your hands on some of these cards. There is a full list of cards that are included. There are also many cards that are specifically not included. And you can find all of those in the link that we'll have in the show notes below. But I will say you probably should not purchase packs just to open these, because that is not a good decision to make.
It's so I did the math a little bit, and 3% of collector boosters, given that there are 12 collector booster packs per box, means if you open a sealed case of collector boosters of 6 boxes, you can get 2.16 legends per case. So there's no guarantee that those legends are going to be tabernacles of
Pendrell Vale, which is like $2,500 or something like that.
Yeah, there's no guarantee,
which is expensive.
You could also get a common that's really not worth that much, as both of your Legends cards inserts in your case. So just keep that in mind when you go and try to buy Dominaria United Collector Booster packs to find your Legends treasures.
You could also, though, I did check the list because I do run one Legends card that I know it's a bomb in Noyandar only, and it is the Enchant Land Equinox. You could tap the enchanted land to counter a spell that would destroy one or more of your lands at instant speed. It is $2.24.
You probably feel pretty bad opening one of those. I mean, it's cool. Don't get me wrong. It would be cool to open one of those, but also it's a $2 card.
Yeah, so you're not going to be opening up Moxes here, but I guess Tabernacle at Pendrell Vale. The announcement does say that not all cards from the original Legend set will be included because there were some weird 1994 collation print runs, and they simply didn't open certain cards despite opening case after case after case after case. So they included a ton of cards. Most cards that I am very unfamiliar with, but one of them that I do know is Land Tax and Mana Drain. Yeah. So I'm familiar with these. Those will not be included because they said they just didn't open any.
Yeah, I heard someone explain it. Like there was like a Legends A and a Legends B, and that was the collation thing. And at some point, Wizards had a thing where I guess you could send in a bunch of your Legends A product to get some Legends B products, so that you could get printings of both. And I imagine that's why Wizards has these pallets of boxes from this trade-in program that they had back in the day. So.
Is that what this was? You think this was the trade-in program?
I imagine, unless they actually just randomly found a case of Legends or have been sitting on it going, I wonder what we're eventually going to do with this.
No, it said there was a warehouse that was going, they were closing. And so they came in. And I mean, that's at least what the story was, right? That's what we were told, is that they went in and that this was at a warehouse.
I got you.
So it wasn't like their warehouse. It didn't sound like this was like a warehouse and this was there. So they got all of it.
And this is not a house that turns into a monster with a full moon, right?
No, it's not a warehouse.
Okay.
Not a warehouse. Not a warehouse.
But there's also going to be some really cool box toppers being printed with our Dominaria United that we also had some announcements for, with the Legends Return is what they're calling it. So Retold. Sorry, Legends Retold. The article is called Legends Return.
Where legends are returning.
Yes, they are. So we're going to see some new versions of old legendary creatures from the Legends set printed as box toppers for this coming up Dominaria set. There's going to be 30 unique box toppers, 29 of them creatures. 20 box toppers, 19 of them creatures, and 1 planeswalker. And we already got to preview 3 of these cards. And, we want to talk about them for a second. So the first one is Ramirez DiPietro Pillager. So it's a legendary human pirate. We got another, this seems to be a pirate tribal card. So for 2, a blue and a black, you get a 4/3 human pirate. When Ramirez enters the battlefield, you lose 2 life and create 2 treasure tokens. And whenever 1 or more pirates you control deal combat damage to a player, exile the top card of that player's library. You may cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. So yeah, I think this is a strong pirate commander. It's not Grixis, but this is the blue-black. I think this might be better than Captain Beckett Brass.
Yeah, I think it goes into the deck. I'm not sure there's probably enough pirates for this, but I like that these are versions of creatures being reworked as if they were created and released in a format that was designed today, or a set designed today, which I think is really cool. I think it's neat. And blue black pirates, we have some already, so it'll certainly have a home. The next one is Tor Wayuki, I think is how this is pronounced. The Younger. 3 black red for a 3/3 human archer with reach and lifelink. And it says if another source you control would deal non-combat damage to a permanent or player, it deals that much +1 to that permanent or player instead. And then whenever you cast an instant or sorcery spell, Tor Wayuki the Younger deals 2 damage to any target. Feels very Torbrannish.
This card's really, really strong in my opinion, because even that last text, it says deals 2 damage, but it's automatically going to get pumped up to 3. And this creature...
Well, it says another source. So it won't be 3. It's dealing 2 itself. If another source deals it, that one gets another 1.
I got you. But Tor does have lifelink, and it's dealing that 2 damage, so you're going to be able to gain life. And in Rakdos colors, that's really cool. I really like this card.
It's a cool card.
And then we have a green-white card, Jasmine Boreal of the 7, 1 green-white, human druid, 2/4, that has tap, add green-white. Spend this mana only to cast creature spells with no abilities, and creatures you control with no abilities can't be blocked by creatures with abilities. So we did have a mono green legendary creature. I think it's
Ruxa, Patient Professor.
Yes. And I just put 2 and 2 together that the professors being patient because none of their students have any skills.
Sick burn.
I think that's what it's supposed to be, right? Because Ruxa cares about no ability creatures. But yeah, maybe that is a little rough to say. But it's cool that we have now a green-white support for no abilities, so we can go a little bit more expansive outside of green. Not sure we needed to go outside of that, but I like it.
I mean, I think this would be cool to play Jasmine and put Ruxa inside like side that deck inside of a Jasmine deck, and then if Jasmine gets removed, Ruxa's still giving benefit to those creatures that have no abilities.
Definitely.
But then if Jasmine's out, the creatures don't have abilities on the stack, so they can be cast with Jasmine.
Oh yeah. Yeah,
for sure. So
now,
I like these a lot, and I'm excited to see what other ones we get, because I don't know a lot of creatures from Legends, but it sounds like we're going to get, if all of them are this spicy, there's going to be, you said 19 legendary creatures, so there's 16 more that'll be spicy like this.
And you know, honestly, if I could just, I really hope that Roga of Kirk Keep is one of the reprinted cards, because I would love to see Kobold Synergy printed in something where I don't have to pay 3 red mana in order for my character to be given away or something like that.
That's fair. That's fair.
So that's the one I really am hoping that we see, and we'll see more coming, and an announcement on August 18th where we'll start to see more previews for this set.
Yes, and the set's going to have some new artwork for lands. We're going to get a Jumpstart product with it. So there's a lot of cool stuff coming, but also Jumpstart 2022 is going to release on December 22nd this year. So that is coming. They said it's going to bring more themes and brand new cards to the mix. So we're getting 2 Jumpstart products this year. I would expect that. I think Jumpstart's fun to play, especially if you just have one other person to play with, because you don't have to do any thinking. You just kind of open the 2 packs, mash them together, and play them. So we're getting another Jumpstart this year.
Yeah, and I do hope that we get a couple more legendary creatures in them. I know they're not super accessible in the Jumpstart packs, you know, being only like 1 card in one sort of theme, but those cards like Brewvac that got printed in the original Jumpstart, I thought those were really cool designs, and I hope we get to see some more designs like that in this set.
Yes, and we're already seeing some of those Jumpstart cards being reprinted, like Emil the Blessed, which we just got reprinted. So I think some of them were a huge success, being with tribal synergies. I think a lot of them had very focused
definitely themes.
You know, themes. Yes, very focused themes. So I think that those are really popular among Commander players that are looking to play with, you know, very strong and specific themes. Definitely. I know, at least for me, I do less generic things. I like to do more focused and specific things. So hopefully we get a lot more of that this year. But before we continue, we have a couple of people that we have to thank. First and foremost, all of our patrons, thank you so much for your support month after month. We really appreciate hanging out with you and playing with you in Discord. And we've got some fun stuff that we are planning to create and give out later this year. And thank you to everybody else, even if you're not a patron, for listening to us and coming back week after week. We really appreciate you. And if you are looking to support us in any way that you are not already doing, because listening to us is a lot and we appreciate that, and you're looking to support us monetarily, you can head to patreon.com/guardianprojectpod and donate for any dollar amount.
And if you are listening and you aren't already subscribed, would really appreciate if you hit that subscribe button, leave a rating if you're on a site that allows you to, a review, maybe some comments, anything to help us drive some traffic and stuff. And you know what? Share us with your local friends and play group if you haven't already. We would be most appreciative.
And with your non-local friends. You can also find us on YouTube, Instagram, Twitter. Just search Guardian Project Podcast. You'll find all of our content. You can email us at guardianprojectpod@gmail.com. Mike, what are we going to chat about this week?
There was a card at Common that was reprinted in the latest Double Master series. You know it. It's your favorite 1 black human cleric that you can play any number of copies of in your deck, Shadowborn Apostle. So today, it's all Shadowborn Apostle, baby.
All right, let's go chat about it. This card's been around almost as long as I've been playing Commander. I started playing in, well, I guess Magic in general, but I started playing in 2013. This card originally came out in 2014, M14, but was reprinted this year. And its price did go down for a second.
Yeah, it did.
And now its price is going back up. But we're going to chat about Shadowborn Apostle, because we've never done an actual episode where we just talk about a specific card and strategies surrounding that card. But we briefly touched on Shadowborn Apostle decks recently in some episodes, and we said, well, let's just do an entire episode where we talk about the commanders, what we tutor for, what some strategies are. So we're going to chat about Shadowborn Apostle. So Shadowborn Apostle is a 1/1 human cleric for 1 black mana. Your deck can have any number of Shadowborn Apostle in it, and it says pay 1 black mana, sacrifice 6 creatures named Shadowborn Apostle, search your library for a demon creature card and put it onto the battlefield. And then you shuffle your library. So obviously the goal here is to play out your first 6 Shadowborn Apostle as soon as you can to start looking for demons to make a real impact on the game.
Yeah. So you're probably going to play cards like the newly reprinted Thrumming Stone in decks like these. So you have a 5 generic mana legendary artifact that says spells you cast have Ripple 4. And you probably never heard of that. This is, as far as I know, this is the only card I know of where Ripple is printed on. I'm definitely, people get me in the comments for all the other cards that Ripple's printed on. It says whenever you cast a spell, you may reveal the top 4 cards of your library. You may cast spells with the same name as that spell from among the revealed cards without paying their mana cost. Put the rest on the bottom of your library. So this is really only a card you're going to see in Commander when it comes to these decks that can play any number of copies. So we're just going to hopefully get 20 Shadowborn Apostles all in one cast. That would be pretty cool.
Yeah, and there are 6 Ripple cards in existence.
Oh, okay.
But none that I've ever seen before.
Okay.
Yeah, but they're in all 5 colors, including colorless.
Oh, okay. Okay. Yeah, that makes sense.
Yeah. So pairing this, you can play with cards like Echoing Truth, which is a brand new card that came out in Modern Horizons 2, which says return target creature card and all cards with the same name as that from your graveyard to your hand. So once you sacrifice 6 Shadowborn Apostle for 1 black mana at sorcery speed, you can name Shadowborn Apostle and return them all to your hand, which I think is great. And then also along with that, you can play Secret Salvage, a card that came out in Aether Revolt, 3 black, sorcery speed, exile target non-land card from your graveyard. So you just exile one of them, and you can search your library for any number of cards with the same name as that card, reveal them, and put them into your hand. So you can search for 6 or 12 or however many you're playing. A lot of people are running 25 of these. So you can exile one and then get the other 24, if they're all in your deck currently, to your hand for 5 mana.
That's right. And, maybe you're also holding that Echoing Return in your hand and you don't have a Reliquary Tower down or anything. And you're going to have to discard all those Shadowborn Apostle. But don't worry, you just Echoing Return them back to your next time. And you'll have at least 4 mana to try to cast some of them out. It'll be great. I promise.
Yeah, you can play with the keyword Extort. Extort allows you to pay a black or a white when you cast a spell. And each opponent loses 1 life and you gain a life. So if you have a card with Extort, you can pay 2 mana for your apostles and drain your opponent and gain some life that way. I'm still waiting on a commander that would care about this. So when it comes out, I will be playing with a lot more Extort.
Definitely. And then alongside some of our aristocrat beaters like our Zulaport Cutthroats, Blood Artists, and Bastion of Remembrance, all of which have triggers that when your creatures die, or Blood Artist, when any creature dies, you get to drain your opponents of life. That on top of these giant flying demons that we're going to talk about swinging in and hurting people, that's typically how you're going to try to win the game. However, we do have an alternate win condition.
We do with Liliana's Contract. For 3 black, you get an enchantment that says when Liliana's Contract enters the battlefield, you draw 4 cards and you lose 4 life. That's really not that bad. And then it says at the beginning of your upkeep, if you control 4 or more demons with different names, you win the game. And I love me some alternate win cons. And we got a lot of reprints in the Secret Lair drop. And there's a special Liliana's Contract with a couple of special demons. So it's like somebody wanted to play with Shadowborn Apostles and a Liliana's Contract.
They really should have a Secret Lair Shadowborn Apostle where they give you 25 Shadowborn Apostles all in one Secret Lair. It'd be pretty
No,
cool.
it'll be 4 Shadowborn Apostle.
So
But then
you have
you
to buy
can just
20
buy
up.
yeah, you just buy multiple of it. You
Oh,
just buy
no.
multiple of it.
Oh,
I
and
think
I'm
the most that
broke.
we've ever gotten was like the lands, right? Because
Yeah.
like some of the basic land ones had a lot. But yeah, I would, I'd go broke for that. Who knows? So let's talk about some of the top commanders for Shadowborn Apostle decks. One of them being a commander that was also notably one of the reasons Shadowborn Apostle spiked. So back in 2018, the Command Zone played a Athreos God of Passage deck with Shadowborn Apostle. So that card was under $1. Shadowborn Apostle, not the Athreos, but the Shadowborn Apostle were like sub $1, and then all of a sudden they went to like $4 or $5.
Yeah.
And they've never really recovered. They've always been that high basically since that episode came out. They went down a little from the reprint. They're already going back up from the reprint, but Athreos is a 5/4 god in the white-black color. So 1 a white and a black. It's indestructible. As long as your devotion to white and black is less than 7, it's not a creature. And whenever another creature you own dies, you return it to your hand unless target opponent pays 3 life. So you're going to play out a bunch of those Shadowborn Apostle, you're going to sacrifice all 6 of them, and your opponent's either going to say, yeah, you can put them all back into your hand, or they can pay 3 life for each and make you put it into your graveyard. It's actually really, really powerful synergy there. I think it's really strong. It allows you to play with cards like Edgewalker, which is a cleric that makes your cleric spells cost white and black less. So you can just play your Shadowborn Apostle out for free. And then there were some new cards like Ascend from Avernus, which allows you to pay X and then white, and you can return all creatures and planeswalkers mana value X or less from your graveyard to the battlefield. So if you do have somebody say, no, I'm gonna lose a lot of life here, I'm gonna lose 18 life, you can just play Ascend from Avernus for 4 mana and get them all back anyway. So white black's really strong, I think, for clerics, which is the cleric colors anyway. So Athreos is a great commander. We've seen it before, and it continues to be really strong for a Shadowborn Apostle commander.
Yes. Now, there is a mono black demon cleric legendary creature that was printed in Zendikar Rising that, in my opinion, should have been printed in the same set the Shadowborn Apostle was printed in. This thing
would have made sense. It really would have made sense.
So Tabarak's Hope's Demise is made for Shadowborn Apostle.
Yes.
In fact, when you go and look at Tabarak's EDH rec page, I think like 75% of the decks are Shadowborn Apostle decks. So
yeah, that makes sense.
You can't even play them. You can play them outside of that. But so Tabarak's Hope's Demise is a 3 mana, 2 and a black demon cleric 2/2 with flying. It says Tabarak's has lifelink as long as it has 5 or more +1/+1 counters on it. And whenever another non-token creature you control dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Tabarak's. If that creature was a cleric, you may draw a card. If you do, you lose 1 life. So hopefully after your first Shadowborn Apostle trigger, you're going to put 6 +1/+1 counters on Tabarak's, making them an 8/8 flying with lifelink. And you're going to draw 6 cards and lose 6 life. So you're just turning him into the demons that we're going to talk about later in this episode. So Tabarak's just starts a little bit smaller.
It does start just a little bit smaller. Another run is Crick Son of Yoggmoth. So this is a 2/2 horror minion for 4 mana and then 3 Phyrexian hybrid mana. So I guess it's just Phyrexian and black. So you can either play black or 2 life. And then it has lifelink. And for each black mana in a cost, you may pay 2 life rather than paying that mana. So for each of your Shadowborn Apostle, you can just pay 2 life to play them all out, which can get you, I guess, you can get the ball rolling really, really fast. And then it says whenever you cast a black spell, you put a +1/+1 counter on Crick, Son of Yoggmoth. So you can get those counters on Crick very quickly. And then as long as you don't lose Crick and you can swing and gain that life back, it's really like no life loss, I guess.
Yeah.
If you think about it. But this one's really strong. I think this one is very fast.
Yes.
Compared to the others, I think Crick it cranks up the speed real quickly on Shadowborn Apostle.
Yeah, especially since Shadowborn Apostle's activated ability is also a black mana, so you could pay 2 life for that. And this is also the commander I usually see that extort mechanic in the most as well out of all the Shadowborn Apostle decks. Because you can, again, pay 2 life instead of the black or white mana for the extort cost as well.
Yeah.
This next one is a legendary creature that I don't talk about very often. I don't know if I've ever had this deck before, but it's Shirei, Shizo's Caretaker. It's a 5 mana spirit, 4 and a black 2/2. says
I've never heard of it.
It never heard, right? So whenever a creature with power 1 or less, notably Shadowborn Apostle's a 1/1, is put into your graveyard from the battlefield, you may return that card to the battlefield at the beginning of the next end step if Shirei Shizo's caretaker is still on the battlefield. So there's a delayed trigger that also checks to make sure Shirei is still on the battlefield at your end step. The big thing here is if you have enough mana and the board state for it, you can actually get a demon on every single player's turn with Shirei.
Yeah.
So by the time it's your upkeep, you have 4 demons ready to swing.
Yeah, the only downside, like we've said before, the only downside to Shirei is it really does add quite a bit of time to a game. But if you're looking to get it done because you're all playing whatever and you have no time restraints and you said let's play a game that goes however long you want, Shirei is also really fun for this Shadowborn Apostle strategy.
Now you should, I sure hope if honestly, if someone leaves your board alone as a Shirei player and you have the opportunity to get 4 demons, you should win that next round. I think you should really try hard.
I guess if you do get 4 whole demons, not half demons,
that's
whole
right.
demons, and then you get your turn, you can get a 5th demon.
Well,
I guess you could just play Lilias Contract and then get 4 whole demons.
You could, and on top of your 4 whole demons that you have, you're also still going to have your 6 Shadowborn Apostles, which could be fodder to sacrifice in case any of your demons have abilities that allow you to sacrifice your creatures to do things.
Demons sacrificing creatures?
It's crazy.
I've never heard of it. It's crazy. It's very crazy. And then another top commander here is Lisa, Forgotten Archangel. So this is from Midnight Hunt, and it is 2 white, and black for a 4/5 flying lifelink angel. Whenever another non-token creature you control dies, return that card to its owner's hand at the beginning of the next end step. So you sacrifice all 6 of those Shadowborn Apostle at the beginning of your next end step. All 6 will come back to your hand. So you don't get to recast them right away. But Lisa does say if a creature an opponent controls would die, exile it instead. And that clause sitting on a creature is really powerful. People don't like to see that, which, understandably. So again, you've got white, black here. Same as Athreos, you can add white, which is really powerful for this strategy. You can play with Angel of Glory's Rise, which can return all your humans to the battlefield. It's an angel that when it enters, you return all humans you control from your graveyard to the battlefield, and then you exile all zombies, which sometimes that is relevant.
Yeah.
I think this is a really good commander for this as well. But we also have some other really notable commanders that are kind of new and are, I guess, gaining at least some sort of notoriety with the Shadowborn Apostle theme. One being Jaren Corrupted Bishop. We've talked about this one before. Jaren, whenever a non-token human you control dies or Jaren enters, you lose a life and you create a human creature token, and then you can give humans lifelink. Jaren's cool because when you sack those Shadowborn Apostle, they get replaced by other humans, and so you get a demon and you're left with 5 humans that are the sack fodder to that demon. But the other one that I really like here is Bane, Lord of Darkness. In Esper colors, white, blue, black, you get that 5/2 god that came out with Commander Legends Battle for Baldur's Gate. That says, as long as your life total is less than or equal to half your starting life total, Bane, Lord of Darkness has indestructible. So sacrificing and playing this kind of strategy, you're probably going to lose a good amount of life early. But then it says, whenever another non-token creature you control dies, target opponent may have you draw a card. If they don't, you get to put a creature with equal or lesser toughness from your hand onto the battlefield. So it's kind of card draw, and if not, and you're playing a bunch of Shadowborn Apostle, you can replace the Shadowborn Apostle that dies with just another Shadowborn Apostle. And seeing that you have blue here, you already have a decent amount of card draw. Black can draw cards as well. So I think Bane's an interesting take on this because you can replace the cards and you can almost play it politically if you have a friend that wants to let you draw cards so you don't do something, or if they don't and you already have cards in your hand, you can just lay out. It feels like a win either way.
Now do be careful in your Shadowborn Apostle decks with card draw because you might in situations accidentally draw the demon that you're trying to fetch with your Shadowborn Apostle, and Shadowborn Apostle cannot summon demons from your hand. So be mindful of that when you're choosing whether you're drawing first or searching for your demon first when you're stacking your triggers. But we also have another brand new card from Commander Legends for Baldur's Gate, the face commander for the black-white pre-con deck, Nalia de Arnis. Hopefully I pronounced that correctly. 3 mana, 1 white-black, 3/3 human rogue, cares about party mechanics.
Yes.
probably the Shadowborn Apostle version isn't going to care about the party mechanic much, but Nalia says you can look at the top card of your library at any time, and you can cast Cleric, Rogue, Warrior, and Wizard spells from the top of your library. So the Clerics being the Shadowborn Apostle. And at the beginning of your turn, if you have a full party, put a +1/+1 counter on each creature you control. They gain Death Touch until end of turn. I did look on Scryfall to see if there were any Demon Warriors or Demon Wizards to actually be able to complete that party. Unfortunately, there are not, but you can use Changelings in place of them in case you do want to eventually just swing with your board or something. I know in my Shadowborn Apostle deck, I had an alternate win condition of Coat of Arms, because if I could put 10 Shadowborn Apostles down, they're 10/10s that way. But I mean, who would I be if I didn't talk about Morophon the Boundless? Not a new commander.
You have to.
Right? It's not a new commander, but it's a 5-color commander that is going to do a very similar thing that Edgewalker did, a card we talked about that's going to reduce your mana cost by black-white for your clerics. Morophon reduces the mana cost of your clerics by Wooburg. Really, you only care that it's reducing it by that black mana cost so that you could cast them for free. But Morophon also allows you to play demons in all 5 colors, which wasn't relevant until Streets of New Capenna, which gave us some very cool cards. But one notable card here that I hadn't even heard of before doing the research for this episode was Blood Bond March. This is an enchantment for 4 mana, 2 black and a green. This is whenever a creature spell is played, each player returns all cards with the same name as that spell from their graveyard to play. So
that's pretty good.
So it might actually be worthwhile to include green in your commander decks for Shadowborn Apostle because of this. So Morophon, I think, is a viable choice here.
That's interesting. I don't think I've ever heard of this card either. So
and it's from your favorite set.
It's from my favorite. It's from my favorite plane. So with Morophon, you can sack all 6 of them, get your demon, play one of them, bring the other 6 back, sack 6. Oh my gosh.
Yes, and casting that one Shadowborn Apostle also cost you 0 mana, by the way, because of Morophon.
It costs you 0, so the one that it would have cast you is just what you have to pay to sack them. Yep. I'm on board. I could build a Morophon deck now. That's a good Morophon, and it's just Shadowborn Apostle. So now that we have all of our Shadowborn Apostle, and there's a lot of commanders you can play this in, and it really works with pretty much any deck that can run black, and like maybe even just some generic sacrifice strategies. We just kind of hit on the top ones and maybe some of the cooler new ones. But we're going to talk about demons, because the cool thing about the demons you're tutoring for is that some of them might be better for some of the commanders versus other commanders. So let's chat about which demons we'd grab and maybe even which decks we'd play them in. So the first one here is Archfiend of Despair. 6 black, came out in Battle Bond. It's a 6/6 flying demon that says your opponents can't gain life, and at the beginning of each end step, each opponent loses life equal to the life that player lost this turn. So you deal a generic amount of damage, and then your opponents take that much again at the beginning of your end step. This card's really, really strong. This is one of the more expensive demons. It's only been printed once in Battle Bond, so it was a supplemental set. But this card's really great, especially if you're only paying 1. But I mean, in the end, you are paying essentially 7 mana, right? 6 to get the Shadowborns, and then 1. So but you can grab it when you need it, because a lot of these Shadowborn decks they're just toolbox decks. Grab the right demon you need at the time. And previously, if you do take a look at older Shadowborn Apostle decks, a lot of these a lot of these demons we're talking about were not even out. They had not even been released when Shadowborn Apostle decks spiked in popularity. And I think the way that Shadowborn Apostle decks look now play way different than they might have played in the past. So Archfiend of Despair is really, really cool. I would play this one probably in Athreos, because if your opponents are losing life to make you put your cards in the graveyard, when the Archfiend comes out, you end that turn. It's the amount that they lost this turn, not the amount that you dealt. So if they paid 18, so you couldn't put those Shadowborn Apostle back into your hand, now they're going to lose another 18 at your end step. So this one's really, really strong in Athreos.
And that's the thing is you can stack that with your Athreos deck and make someone pay the life before you go. So if they pay the life, then you go grab Archfiend. If they don't pay the life, then you go grab
something else if you want.
How about
Sure.
a Lord of the Forsaken? Lord of the Forsaken is 6 mana, 6/6, 4 black with flying and trample that can pay a black to sacrifice another creature to have target player mill 3 cards. You can also pay 1 life to add a colorless and spend this mana only to cast a spell from your graveyard. This could be relevant. I mean, there's definitely some cards. Obviously, you're in at least black, so you're going to be playing with your graveyard. You can mill yourself with that sacrifice a creature to mill to activate spells like Secret Salvage that is looking to exile a card from your graveyard in order to find as many copies. So, this is it. At its base, it's still a 6/6 flying trample beater. And I think that's the great part about every single demon is even if some of them are niche or corner cases, they're still probably going to be a 6/6 flying demon.
Yeah, I like this one because the paying the life, I think Lord of the Forsaken works really well to add this mana because it doesn't say pay 1 mana, add this, and you have to spend it. Like with commanders like Jaren Corrupted Bishop, who might also have a sub theme of getting to 13 life.
True.
You can just pay that life and get down to 13 with Lord of the Forsaken.
No, that's smart. That's smart.
Yeah.
That's a great drain right there.
Yeah, you just get to go to 13 with Lord of the Forsaken in a Jaren deck. Another one that came out way later, I guess a more recent demon is Nightmare Shepherd from Theros Beyond Death. So this is a 4/4 flying demon for 2 blacks, one of the smaller demons, but it's an enchantment creature demon if that matters. And it says whenever another non-token creature you control dies, you may exile it. If you do, create a token that's a copy of that creature, except it's a 1/1 nightmare in addition to its other types. So although if you do exile to get those copies that are nightmares, you won't be able to reanimate. You do basically get 2 demons if you have two black mana essentially. I think this one is one of the more powerful demons because if you can get 6 actual Shadowborn Apostle like multiple times, you can get like 3 or 4, 4 or 6 because you get double 4 or 6 or 8 demons, and if you're able to start looping things, that'd be cool too because you might not always want to exile them. But
it's true. Now, and a lot of these demons we're talking about, they're going to be like 8 and 9 mana. When you top deck those, it feels bad because you don't really want to try casting this. Top decking Nightmare Shepherd at 4 feels good. I love that. If you untap with 6 Shadowborn Apostles, across that, what a dream. And you have 6 mana, casting Nightmare Shepherd and being able to activate that twice is huge upside. And if you do have one of those really bonkers turns where you hit a Secret Salvage and you happen to just have 24 Shadowborn Apostles on the battlefield, your first 6 Shadowborn Apostles to grab Nightmare Shepherd to make sure all of your other ones grab double demons is really strong. I love this pick, and I bet people tend to shy away from a 4 mana demon like this in a Shadowborn Apostle deck because of effects like that, because it's a maybe not as much of a payoff mana value wise. And I think that's maybe incorrect thinking is not right, but maybe you should rethink including Nightmare Shepherd in your Shadowborn Apostle decks.
Yeah, I like this card because you're right. This is one that I'd want to cast. Like after you're passing 5 mana, once things start to get to 6, 7, 8, or 9 mana for the demons, I don't really want to cast it. But 4 mana, sign me up. This is one that I want to draw when I'm playing the Bane Lord of Darkness deck. I'll just keep drawing until I draw into my Nightmare Shepherd. Please don't draw me into Archfiend of Despair, though.
Yes. Now, one creature I don't ever mind if it's in my hand, in my graveyard, as long as it's somewhere in my library. My favorite demon, number 1 in my book, Vilis, Broker of Blood. 8 mana, 5 black, an 8/8 flyer, no trample, but that's okay. Has an activated ability of pay a black, pay 2 life, target creature gets -1/-1 until end of turn, and this great line of text that says whenever you lose life, draw that many cards.
Great card.
It's so good. This was always the first demon that I went and searched up in my Crick Son of Yoggmoth deck because I get to pay 2 life and then another 2 life to activate Vilis's ability to give a creature -1/-1. Even if Vilis is the only creature on the battlefield, Vilis can target itself. So you can activate it 7 times without killing Vilis and draw, what's 7 times 4, 28 cards just at a whim. And then you could do another 28 cards on the next player's turn if you have at least 57 life before all that starts. But you get what I'm saying is you can very easily draw 28 cards with searching for Villas as your first thing in a Crick deck, and that is why I love it so much.
It might be one of the more popular ones to look for. Like Villas, I think you would grab if you really need a lot of card draw. Maybe you're getting low and you go, I need to refill my hand. Villas is the one you go get. I'm torn now between Archfiend of Despair and Villas on the first one that I grab. I think it would make a difference. Let's throw another one in that does a lot of work, which is Razziketh the Foul-Blooded. So Razziketh is an 8/8 flying trample demon for 5 black. It says pay 2 life, sack another creature, search your library for a card, put that card into your hand, and then shuffle your library. So it is pay 2 life, sack a creature to demonic tutor. You just grab any card you want and put it into your hand. This got one of those really awesome secret layer drop printings. And I think this works particularly well in Jaren Corrupted Bishop as well, because when you sack those Shadowborn Apostle, you're replacing them with humans that you can use as sacrifice fodder. Razziketh is probably going to eat apart your board, and you probably don't want to sacrifice like 1 or 2 Shadowborn Apostle if you are looking to get your 6th. But I guess if you already made it, you can just search for other cards that might just help propel your game plan forward. But I think Razziketh is one of those that, depending on your situation, might be the card you need, because you need to find an answer to something that's happening on the board. This lets you do it, but you do have to have another creature. So if you don't have one, this probably isn't your pick.
Yeah, this is actually my number one choice, specifically for the She-Ray commander deck. And I was alluding to it without saying the word Razziketh before. If you don't win with your She-Ray deck with 4 demons and 6 demonic tutors, I hope you can win with that.
There's someone was doing something really powerful for sure. So Razziketh is really strong. I like this card a lot. Another card that's, relatively new to this strategy. I know Amonkhet was 2017, but
you make me feel so young.
You are young. You're young in my mind.
I'm relatively new to Magic the Gathering. So we have some non-legendary demons. We've talked about a couple of them before, but this one's been around for a very long time. All the way back into, I see Avacyn Restored with the printing, and that's Harvester of Souls. You probably see this in a lot of Aristocrats type of decks, just being cast for the 6 mana cost that it is. So 4 black for your 5/5 demon with Death Touch. No flying here, no trample here, but Death Touch, always a relevant keyword. It says whenever another non-token creature dies, you may draw a card. Doesn't say creature you control, so it's any creature that dies. Obviously, with Shadowborn Apostles, you're going to get to draw 6 cards every time you activate that. And on top of that, you're going to have demons that are going to be able to target and kill your opponent's creatures. Like we already talked about, Villas, Broker of Blood, giving creatures -1/-1. So these demons are going to start fueling each other and turn into a really good card value engine.
This is one where I actually think that if you sack your Shadowborn Apostle, go get Harvester of Souls, you do it when you don't have cards that you have, and maybe your opponents have a decent board, and then you just board wipe. I know you kind of like stopped your strategy, but maybe you draw 7 cards off of it. It might be worth paying the 1 black mana, getting Harvester of Souls, and then board wiping so that you refill your hand and you kind of stopped everything. That's kind of my thought with Harvester. I don't know. I actually, the build that I put together is kind of an all-in on grabbing demons. I don't really think that I'm running board wipes, but this is one that I would make the argument of why you might actually want a board wipe.
Sure.
The next is Doom Whisperer, a 6/6 flying trample nightmare demon for 3 black. This came out in Guilds of Ravnica, and this one has Surveil 2. You can pay 2 life and Surveil 2. I like this a lot because, again, it fits with the commanders that have a strategy of having low life. So, again, Jaren Corrupted Bishop wants to get down to 13. This can help you get closer to 13, but also Bane, Lord of Darkness, gains indestructible if you're just at half your starting life total. So you can pay to get down to under 20 and Surveil at the same time, deciding what card you actually want to draw. I do not think Doom Whisperer is for all of the Shadowborn Apostle decks. I think this one is the most situational in my eyes, but a 6/6 flying trample demon isn't nothing. It's also at that 5 mana threshold when we were talking about if we do unfortunately draw a demon. This one is probably not too terrible to draw, but
very castable.
Yeah, this one's an affordable mana value wise demon that you can just play out depending on, the speed the pot is playing at. But I do think that this one plays much better in some commander decks playing Shadowborn Apostle theme than others.
Yes, and again, I did play this one in my Crick deck because alongside Villas, Broker of Blood, to be able to surveil 2, then draw 2 every single time you activate Doom Whisper. But that's if someone lets you have both of those, well, again, I hope
go
you
for
can
it.
Win. Yeah.
Yeah, you got to try for it, right?
So now this next demon is a demon. I didn't even
it's
know
a demon. This next demon is a demon.
Honestly, that's like all you can. It's. I played this in mono black all the time. I never played it because it was a demon. I played it because it's a tutor. This is Runescarred Demon. For 5 black, you get a 6/6 flyer that when it enters the battlefield, you search for a card and you put it into your hand. So we talked about Razziketh before, how if you didn't have another creature on the battlefield to sacrifice for, Razziketh might not be the creature that you search for. Runescarred Demon is the creature that you search for. This is typically what I would do, again, if you don't have another creature to sacrifice, to go find your Secret Salvage, to go fill your hand with all your Shadowborn Apostles, find your Thrumming Stone if you have some more Shadowborn Apostles in your hand to cast. This just kickstarts your combo potential here without having to sacrifice a creature.
Yeah, I think this is I didn't think about it that way with the way that it interacts, I guess, with Secret Salvage, because I think it's really smart grabbing this over a Razziketh so that you can do this if you don't have another creature, because then you can just kind of start that train right there.
Yeah, exactly.
The next commander, though, is one that I've seen more as an actual commander than as just a demon you tutor up, which is Obnixless Unshackled. So a 4/4 legendary demon for 4 black. It is has flying and trample, and whenever an opponent searches their library, that player sacrifices a creature and loses 10 life. And whenever another creature dies, put a +1/+1 counter on Obnixless Unshackled. So if your opponent is going to search their library and you have your Shadowborn Apostles available, you can go sacrifice them and go get this, and then your opponent will sack a creature and lose 10 life.
Yeah, I'll be honest. I've seen this a few times in our local play group because someone has a Maryland of the Mornsong deck that forces everyone to search their library. So if you could somehow force your opponents to search your library, this becomes infinitely better. But otherwise, if you're playing against someone who's doing a landfall deck or something, maybe you do want a demon toolbox deck where you can pull this one out. Yeah. Now, Andy, you did talk about potentially playing board wipes. Allow me to intrigued, and it's not a huge board wipe.
This one makes me nervous in the deck strategy we're playing. So I was intrigued that you put this one on the list.
I could totally see why. So this is Demon of Dark Schemes from Kaladesh. So it's got the
That's when you go to the sauna and they turn the lights off.
Who touched my leg? No. So Demon of Dark Schemes from Kaladesh has energy, one of the most broken mechanics printed in Wizards for Earn Magic, right? But maybe not so much just as a single card in your deck. Demon of Dark Schemes for 6 mana, 3 black. You get a 5/5 flyer. It says when Demon of Dark Schemes enters the battlefield, all other creatures get -2/-2 until end of turn, including your own. Yes, in case you do have Shadowborn Apostles on the battlefield. However, whenever another creature dies, you get an energy, and then you can pay 2 and a black and pay 4 energy and put target creature card from a graveyard onto the battlefield under your control tapped. Doesn't say a creature from your own graveyard, so you can start stealing other people's creatures. You're going to be able, when this enters, pretty much kill most of your opponent's mana dorks if they're playing those. You're gonna, if you need to fuel it yourself, you can use your own Shadowborn Apostles to fuel that energy. Again, there's other demons that can target other creatures and kill them, so you can get that energy. But on top of that, people are going to kill your demons. You have to be prepared for that. And this demon being able to resurrect your other demons could be extremely beneficial to you.
Yeah, this one just makes me nervous, but I certainly see the benefit because you can bring other things back, especially if you were playing with the demon we talked about earlier, Lord of the Forsaken, and perhaps you were milling cards. So you milled yourself 3, and then you said, what, this board wipe is going to get me enough energy that I can reanimate another demon that is going to help. It absolutely works with these themes. it just feels bad, man, if you made it to like five of the Shadowborn. But I guess if you're trying to just top deck and this is in your hand, it's probably better to bring back a different demon if it's in the graveyard then.
Sure, yeah, absolutely.
Hope for a good top deck. And then finally we have Shadowgrange Archfiend. So this is an 8/4 demon for 6 and a black. It says when it enters the battlefield, each opponent sacks a creature with the greatest power among creatures they control. You gain life equal to the greatest power among creatures sacrificed this way. And then it also has Madness for 2 and a black, and you can pay 8 life. So if your opponent is playing with maybe a Voltron strategy and they only have 1 creature, this might be an option for you to maybe stop getting whacked for a second if they're hitting on you because they know what theme you're going with. This card just gets people because even if you have 4 or 5 creatures, the one you don't want to lose always happens to be the one that has the greatest stinking power. Yeah. And it's like, just let me sack any, but it makes them sack the one with the greatest power. So it has gotten me a few times because you run this in your ninjas deck, and I've seen this do some work there, and
people are playing it good. Also in Henzi Toolbox Tori decks lately too. It's actually why I believe that's why the price actually went up. It was a very cheap card, and that is why it was in my ninjas deck.
Wow, this card is over $5 now.
It is. It's popular as of late. I imagine Shadowborn Apostle also being reprinted had something to do with the price going up, because this is a solid demon to grab. It's relatively new. Actually, you shouldn't even say relatively new. It's new. It's Crimson Vow. I guess this
hasn't even been out for a year. Crimson Vow was late last year. So.
Yeah, like November. Yeah. So yeah, it hasn't been out for very long. It's already up to $7 for the normal copy, $5 for the widescreen that we all know that Andy loves, the widescreen cards so much.
This one though, I will say, it doesn't. This one feels like there is more of an image to this one. If you switch between the two, there is more image. It's not just stretched. So maybe I'll give widescreen a pass this time. Okay, I'll give it a pass. But yeah, those were the main ones, but I do like that you listed all of the demons that came from New Capenna, which you alluded to earlier, that would work really well in a Morophon deck here because they're all multicolor.
Well, that's the question I pose. Do these work really well in a Shadowborn Apostle demons deck? And I think there's definitely some winners, some questionables, and potentially at least one loser here. But the first one here, I think the absolute winner is Lord Xander the Collector. Lord Xander is a 7-mana 6/6 4 and Grixis, blue, black, red, which does something as soon as it enters the battlefield. Has an enter the battlefield effect that says target opponent discards half the cards in their hand rounded down. Also does something when it attacks. Defending player mills half their library rounded down, and also does something when Lord Xander dies. So I was just making sure it didn't say leave the battlefield, because that would have been better. But when Lord Xander dies, target opponent sacrifices half the non-land permanents they control rounded down. So I think this one absolutely is a hit, and it is nice that it is still in black and red. Streets of New Capenna did give us our first demons that did not have black or red in them. And those ones might not be the best demons for your Shadowborn Apostle.
Probably not, but I do like that you have Zeotora here. Zeotora the Incinerator for 3 black, red, green, a 6/6 flying demon dragon. Again, we got another flying 6/6. At the beginning of your end step, you can sack another creature. When you do, Zeotora deals damage equal to that creature's power to any target, and then you create 3 treasures. And I did see your notes that there's 59 demons with 6+ power. Obviously ignoring Grizzlebrand, it's not legal here, and then the silver bordered cards, but flinging 6 and making 6 treasure is not too bad either, especially if you drew into some of your demons. That's going to give you some mana to try to play them out of your hand too.
So you do only create 3 treasure.
Correct.
That's the nice part, I think, like this. You might think, I don't want to grab Zeotora unless I have a big demon. But honestly, sacrificing a Shadowborn Apostle, pinging something for 1, and getting 3 treasures isn't the worst thing in the world.
There could be worse, because if you did draw one of your 8 mana or 7 mana creatures, that 3 mana will help you get there in the next turn.
Yes. Now,
if you weren't already there.
Now, the next 2 I kind of included together because they follow a very different strategy, maybe something you don't actually want to do in your Shadowborn Apostles decks. It's Jetmir, Nexus of Revels, the Naya commander, 4/1 for 1 red, green, white. is a 5/4 cat demon. Says creatures you control get +1/+0 in vigilance if you control 3 or more, +1/+0 in trample if you control 6 or more, and +1/+0 and double strike if you control 9 or more creatures. So kind of an alternate way of winning if you're actually going to swing with your Shadowborn Apostles. and Rafine will do something similar, allowing you to swing with your Shadowborn Apostles, but Rafine's not going to make them any bigger, so it's a little bit more risky. Rafine being our Esper Sphinx demon for white, blue, black. You get a 1/4 with flying and ward 1. This is whenever you attack, target attacking creature connives X, where X is the number of attacking creatures. So just being able to swing with all your Shadowborn Apostles to maybe make Rafine really big, because you're going to connive onto Rafine.
But what if the plan was to make one of those Shadowborn Apostles huge?
You could. I don't know why.
You could.
You could. I just am wondering why, though. I need to live in that pod, in that situation, and go, oh my gosh, there's the situation. We found it, and then take a picture.
Because everybody's they're gonna mark that down in their mind and never forget it. They're gonna go, one time I played against a Shadowborn Apostle deck that only wanted Rafine to pump one of the Shadowborn Apostle.
I mean, to be fair, it can throw things in your graveyard in case you have graveyard shenanigans going on, but I think there's probably more efficient ways. And on top of that, we talked about some of these lower mana value demons. It might not feel very good searching for those ones in particular. This is a 3 mana value demon, so not necessarily easy to cast because it's in 3 individual colors, but also, maybe not as much value as you need for your first Shadowborn Apostle trigger.
Probably not. And then our biggest loser here is Falcospara Pactweaver, because the Bant Bird demon is probably not going to help you at all with your strategy. Flying Trample, when it enters with a shield counter. You can look at the top card of your library at any time. Hopefully it's a Shadowborn Apostle. That's what you want to draw. But then it says you can cast spells from the top of your library by removing a counter from a creature you control in addition to paying the other costs. Falco only gives you 1, so maybe a Cathar's Crusade strategy would be good with Thrumming Stone and other things.
You need a lot of other things, right? You need a lot of other things to make Falco
also,
work.
This would be wild to see that strategy come together as well. So this was interesting, seeing some different takes on Shadowborn Apostles. We want to hear what you would build now that we've gone through the commanders and we've talked about the demons that we would pull. Let us know if you're on our Discord, message us there or tweet at us. And that's going to be the end of our episode this week. Thank you so much, as always, for listening. If you want to chat with me more online, you can find me on Twitter at Andy Flory.
You can find me on Twitter at Wormcoil Engine. Of course, we always want to give a heartfelt thank you to Ryan Nichols and Chris Wolf, who handle our graphic design and our editing and our producing. So thank you so much to the both of you. And to all you listeners out there, thank you so much for listening this week, and we'll chat with you next week.
Bye-bye.